Okay, back with another Volvo VNL problem. I used this truck for about like 50,000 miles, maybe a little bit less. I was a owner operator. I did it for a while, like at least onto somebody. And after I had a big breakdown, I kind of just let the truck sit here for a while. And I would always come down and start it up, make sure it runs good and stuff. But one day when the truck was running, I just started up, let it run, as I just did a walk around check and see how everything is. One of my power wires, negative wires that I had right here, I had it running and it had it breaking off. I ran it wrong. I ran it from the negative wire up through a switch to the cabin, and then when I would not use the truck, I would just shut off that switch and kill the cabin's power because I had a problem with the cab. Because that happened, basically it corroded itself and I didn't know. The truck lost negative power, and as the truck was running, it just shut off on its own. I went back to the truck to start it up, no power, nothing. Fixed the cable, and then it just gave me a whole bunch of error codes. Basically narrowed it down that it was something wrong with the truck computer. It took me a while to figure it out, but because I went back on the road as a company driver after that, and I kind of just let this truck sit and kind of go to waste. So anyway, we narrowed it down after many hours of diagnosing it. And if you look, so the computer sits like this on the side of the block. You'll see there's some melting right there. That's the grounds for the ECU on the main wiring harness. So let me get in here. As you can see, it kind of melted down there. Wait, yep, this is the one. I'm sorry, nope, not that one, this one. You see that? Just melted it up. I don't know yet, because I'm going to send this computer out to get inspected and see if the ECU got damaged. And if it did, then it's probably going to have to buy a new computer. And the only thing is my truck is deleted, so I'm going to have to get a new delete tune on it. And with the ECU and delete tune and everything, it's going to cost me well over $2,000. So, word of advice, never ever put a switch wire onto the grounds. Always run it to the power source, because with the power source, this probably would have never happened. It would have just lost power, and that'd be it. And when it lost ground, and when it fried things. So I've seen some guys, how they took the computer out, and they just blab a lot. The video's too long, but to make it much simpler for you guys, you have to take this whole splash shield out. So I got it back here. So this whole fender liner, or splash shield as we call them, you'd have to take it out, and basically give you the access to work on the computer, because it is just impossible to get in there with this whole thing in the way, and you just basically have barely any room. Like, you'd have to be really tall, have really long arms to reach into there. So I took that out. I took the latch for the hood got removed. It's off to the side over there. Basically to get in here and put something over the tire so I don't get too dirtied up. And basically, some guys, they tell you got to take out the coolant, and then you got to remove this coolant hose together with the computer. And honestly, these systems, they carry I don't know, roughly about 16 to 18 gallons, 14 gallons. I don't know the exact amount offhand, but it is well over 10 gallons of fluid. So to dump that out into containers, it's just going to be a mess, you know. And why go through all that when you could just unscrew these 6 screws, and then I unscrewed those 2 bolts right there, so that way to free up those hoses, because those hoses are connected into this whole system. And also took out this breather pipe that basically runs from the top cover all the way to here, some canister here, and basically disconnected the wires from the computer. This one's just disconnected because I was just testing things out, just looking. You don't have to really take that one out though, but the 2 main computer plugs you got to take out. And basically then you could unscrew these 4 and move that away a little bit, and then grab that with your right hand, move it away, and with your left try to get the ECU in the back and kind of slide it out, and then it just literally comes right up. So you didn't even have to take off those hoses or anything like that, drain out the ECU, the coolants. And then how to fix that wiring harness. So I'm gonna use a cheaper way, because the more expensive way is buying like an $800 wiring harness. That basically, it's a short harness. It's these wires right here, that plug, those plugs, and goes through a bunch of things. So it's gonna be probably like a 2-day project, you know, to replace the wiring harness. I'm gonna see first if I could do another way and keep the original harness on, because the $800 wiring harness is not a Volvo harness. So you kind of get what you get, and once you go on the road, something happens. I mean, it's not an original Volvo harness. So I'm gonna use. I bought this plug online. I'll try to find where the link to it is and the part number, and it basically is the exact same thing as Volvo would use. I'm gonna get the link for this. So this is a replacement plug that I found online after many hours of searching for it, and let me see if I could get a part number. Let me see if I get you can screenshot that and get a part number. Let me see if I have. So I got the box. I know it's a little messy in here, so nope. I'll just post up a link, but basically it comes with all these pins and the boots for the installation. Obviously this is going to take a long time, but I would honestly run a factory Volvo harness over some aftermarket piece. So that's just my opinion on that. Yeah, no part number, so I'll just get a part number. I'll post it in the description, so that way you guys can use the factory Volvo harness. Even though some people will tell you just replace it, but I mean, if you want to save $1,000 and hours of labor, you take this to a shop to get done, they're going to charge you quite a bit to replace this wire harness. So that's just that. But we're going to try to send out a computer and get this thing fixed. It basically gave me a code for no communication with ECU. So I went and bought a laptop and a Volvo diagnostic software that was kind of pirated off eBay, and it basically pulled up all the codes, and mostly if it's linking it back to the ECU is not working, so it can't communicate with the body module, it can't communicate with the transmission module, and basically it's no start. It doesn't even click and nothing. I already checked all the fuses, the relays, everything. I went through everything as far as I could go, and then I narrowed it down to the grounds being fried on this thing. So, you know, it's a short video just to explain to you what you got to get done, and probably the first thing to check when you have lost the power, ECU power or any kind of power to that the truck doesn't want to start anymore. This is probably where you want to start off first, because I mean, in this box I checked all these fuses, even this one I replaced. Look, this thing doesn't want to hold on anymore. So yeah, it's just, that's what it ends up being, and hopefully it's not going to cost me too much, but if it does, it is what it is. Because I mean, a lot of people would say like, hey, why don't you just go buy a new truck? You know, you got the new gens are already, you know, in the 30-40 grand for higher mileage. Like this truck has 825,000 miles on it. But I would say to them is, I mean, the cheaper you could start your business and run it, the more chances you are of making it work. Because if you go out and buy a new truck, you know, you're going to have new truck problems also. And even the new gen, you got to buy it used. No matter how good the person serviced it, it's going to have problems. So when you dump a lot of money and you start off a new business, you're kind of got to screw yourself over. And this truck, I've probably put like well over $20,000 in the short time I ran it. Basically the same thing. I bought off somebody as a trade. It was kind of a trade. And you know, there's things that got neglected and things that went wrong and things that just, you know, got out of date. And I had a clutch fan, which I still have to replace the clutch fan. I'm going to make a video of that. Clutch fan went bad. Basically overheated the engine multiple times. It didn't overheat, it didn't pop the head gasket or anything like that. It's not misfiring or anything like that, but it had gotten pretty hot that it blew the oil cooler, the EGR cooler. Then the radiator cracked. I ended up replacing the radiator. The intercooler was leaking. They found out while they had the radiator out. I'm like, all right, just replace the intercooler. And we just went down the list, and it was just like, go through everything, fix everything, and the shop did it. And then when they found out the clutch fan was bad, they didn't even get to the clutch fan because I kind of ran out of money. So yeah, I would fix an older truck regardless, you know, than going over with a new one, because I'd rather make my business work in the future, in the near future, than buy a new truck and I'm running myself empty from repair costs. So plus this truck is deleted. The engine is strong. It has a brand new clutch in it that we replaced at 780,000 miles. We replaced the clutch in it. So the clutch only has like 50,000 miles on it. I changed the air compressor myself because it had an oil leak on the bottom. And I mean, it has a bunch of stuff: springs, shocks, brakes all around. The tires are almost like over 80% of life left. I mean, there's a bunch of stuff. And new injectors had them done. I had the fuel injector, the fuel filter housing got replaced. These things are also common. If you have a hard time starting the car, a late start, you're just starting, and then if it starts up, you probably want to replace that as soon as possible. There's a check valve in it. Basically, it holds the fuel pressure when you shut off the truck. It holds the fuel pressure before you already want to say the fuel filter all the way back to the rail. It maintains that pressure, so when you start the truck up again, it has already that rail pressure, and the truck will start up and it starts pumping new fresh fuel in. But when you have a bad check valve, this is going to drop the pressure back into the tanks, and you're going to start with like no fuel pressure. So we did that, did a bunch of stuff, you know, had a turbo off and went through all that stuff and replaced exhaust pipes and all that kind of stuff. So honestly, it's just better to fix this truck and get it on the road and start making some money, and then Once I get my money made out of it, then yeah, it'll be time to retire this girl. Until then, we're gonna be trucking alone. Good luck with your electrical problems. Hopefully this video helps you out.